All right, this is chapter 4, vulnerability assessment and mitigating attacks. Okay? All right. Vulnerability. It says systematic evaluation of asset exposure. We're looking for attackers, the forces of nature. What are some forces of nature around here? Do you guys have any issues with forces of nature?
Tornadoes.
Tornadoes. You get a lot of them around here?
Not like you do.
Not like we do. Actually, we haven't got that many lately, but we get some tornadoes. Okay. Yeah, we get hail. I'm getting a new roof today because of my hail. I've been in there for 11 years, no, 12 years now, and I'm on my 4th roof.
Wow.
Which is good. So that's kind of handy. So forces of nature. Okay.
Rate gone up, Sky?
No, it hasn't. I keep switching companies every now and then, so they never know. All right. It could also be any other potential harmful entity. Okay. Then vulnerability assessment talks about our asset identification. So what are some of the assets in this room? What do you think? Computers, maybe, projectors, furniture. I don't know if I really call this carpet an asset. It's kind of like the carpet in my building. My office, the carpet has been there since 1972. Yes, it is.
So this has been replaced since then, but
Ours hasn't, so it's terrible. Okay, threat evaluation. What could happen? Now, we got windows. Is that vulnerability? Could be. Okay, a threat could be someone throwing a brick through the window. So vulnerability appraisal. Now, how vulnerable are we? Probably not so much here, but we are still vulnerable. Because think about it, we're internal to the school. Someone breaks into our machines, then they could access into the network. Okay, risk assessment and mitigation. We're going to talk about more about those. Okay. Okay, asset identification is kind of a part where a lot of people mess up on. It's this process of inventory items with economic value. Okay. When I was in the Air Force, I was the ADPE custodian there for a while, the Automated Data Processing Equipment Custodian. I was in charge of keeping track of computers and typewriters and stuff like that. Anyone remember the old IBM Selectric typewriters with the round ball that would jump when you typed? Well, those cost $3,000 a piece. Did you know that when you bought them? But what happened when we started getting computers? You didn't need them anymore. So, but I was still in charge of them. They came to me one day and they said, okay, we're doing inventory of all the ADP equipment. And they wanted to know where all the typewriters were. And I went around and no one had them anymore. I said, what'd y'all do with the typewriters? Oh, well, we threw them away because we got computers now. Oh, they came to me, they're like, whoa, no, those are $3,000 a piece. Someone's going to have to pay for them. They were freaking out. But we basically went to the colonel and said, they have zero value now. So why do we need, and he approved it where they could basically remove them from the inventory. But that's the important thing to think about. Value changes over time. How value goes up, and then goes down, and up, that kind of stuff. So, but keeping, what the assets are, a lot of stuff. Think about assets here. Would we even think about these hubs or these patch panels over here? They're an asset, but, someone could steal them. So, we mentioned earlier how these monitors aren't even tagged. So, these considered an asset? They must not be because they're not tagged. So, I guess they're free. When you all leave today, just take a couple. Take a couple more.
Saturday, so I can disappear.
Yeah, they're not being tagged, so take the monitors. Okay.
You didn't hear that, right?
I've seen video of it.
How about people? Can people be considered an asset? Heck yes. I did CSEC training. Man, I can't think of his name. The big guy worked at Francis Tuttle Votech Center. Went through the Tulsa program. Moved, then got hired over at OSU, Okmulgee, and now he's working at Cisco, making over $100,000. So people could be an asset. Okay, physical assets. We talked about some notes. How about data? We talked about earlier. Enrollment records. That's kind of important for a school. It's the data there. Hardware, software. Software is a biggie because people lose it all the time. You got to reinstall it. Maintenance agreements. That's stuff you have to keep up with nowadays. Okay, determine each item's relative value, not retail, relative value. Okay? It's criticality. How important is it? Yes, sir.
I was listening to a presentation by the CIO for Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory.
Okay.
And they got broken into cyber-wise about 6 months ago.
Okay.
And they took all kinds of stuff. Well, Berkeley laboratory is famous for not having firewalls.
Nice.
Because they
Oh, that's
consider
right, I remember.
themselves Open
Yeah.
science.
Yes, I
They're
remember.
like, why would we have firewalls if we're open science, right?
Mhm.
They have these other things that aren't really firewalls, but anyway, they gave this presentation.
All right. So the criticality to organization. If we got rid of if someone stole all the computers, we'd kind of be out to lunch for a while. Y'all agree with that? Yeah, actually for a long period of time. Okay. How much revenue is generated by them? Yeah. Like people, could you generate revenue by people? Oh yeah, definitely. Kind of, especially in the teaching environment. You know, don't some teachers draw more students than others? Okay. You get a good program, good instructors, you get more students, so that could be there. Okay. How difficult are they to replace? The Oklahoma City, what you call it there, jury duty system, whatever you call that. Keeping track of jury duty, that's written on an old COBOL system. It's not been updated yet. So, you know, how hard would it be to replace that? Very difficult. Okay. Okay. It says impact of assets unavailable to the organization. So what happens if we can't have internet for a month? I don't know what we'd do. It'd be tough. I do all my stuff electronically. If I couldn't have access to that, that'd kind of suck. So, all right. All right. Threat evaluation. What are the threats? Could be people, could be outside, could be whatever. Okay. The threat model says the goal is to understand the attackers and their methods. Again, that changes all the time. So I guess we've got to become a bad guy to find out. We'll hire Kevin Minnick. That's what we'll do. Okay. All right. The attack tree, the different representation of it. Okay, and we're going to see pictures of that here in a second. Here's some threats. Natural disasters, espionage, human error. Wow, human error, that one's tough, isn't it? Anyone ever drop a cell phone? That's human error. Ever drop a cell phone in a toilet?
Yeah.
They don't work so well after you drop them in a toilet. But you know, I had a student came over to my house for a pool party a couple years ago with an iPhone, jumped in my swimming pool, dried it off, and it worked. I gotta be kidding me.
You know what I heard you could do? Is you dry it off, don't turn it on.
And
dry
put
off,
it in rice.
Put it in rice.
Yeah, and I heard the rice.
It
Yeah,
absorbs all the moisture out of it.
Yeah.
And if you get all the moisture out of it, it'll work.
nice.
Sometimes it does not.
Sometimes
My daughter's both, it didn't work.
it didn't work, huh?
No, but I've heard it does with some.
Well, cool. Yeah, but that's pretty awesome. How about technical obsolescence? Okay. Program does not function with new version of Windows 8's coming out October 26th. Obviously, we're all switching October 27th, aren't we? Yeah. Could be theft. Could be utility interruption. Power goes off. Okay. Our school has a battery backup system, a UPS system. It's good for 30 minutes. What do you think?
Long enough to shut things down.
That's about all it is. But that's what they've had forever. And they were fine with that. Until they had an issue lately that was out for like 8 hours. They said, we got a problem. And what had happened was, actually it happened in our building, where I work. Their switches, they had hired contractors to come in and do some adjustments on the switches. They didn't write to the firmware. So when they lost power, they lost the routing. Oh, they had all kind. So now they're looking into getting a generator system. So I have a generator system in my house. I love it. Okay. Now I told you I'm getting my roof replaced right now. I got home yesterday and when looking at my solar systems, I had one of my panels wasn't working, so I kept messaging, dude, sun's out, my panel ain't generating nothing. So he finally went back over there and fixed it. So it was my utility, my generating power is being interrupted. I wasn't too happy. So because he's like, oh no, we'll keep your solar panels on. I don't know how they replaced the roof, leaving the solar panels on, unless they held them up and then someone crawled. I got 13 panels all in a row.
Are they on the roof? Because from the picture, it looks like they're off to the side.
No, they're on the side. They're on the roof. I'll show it to you.
Yeah, on one side of the,
They're on one side.
yeah.
Oh, all right.
Who's face which direction?
South. Right there.
Oh, I see. So that is the roof over there.
That is the roof. I'm going to get another array on top,
Yeah.
but this second panel for some reason wasn't producing. Now, how could only the second one not be working? The only thing I can think of is that they unhooked them. No, they probably hooked number 1 into number 3 because they're hooked to each other. Yeah, they probably missed a wire. So I kept missing because we hired contractors, so the guy wasn't there. I said, dude, still not generating power, but no more. I just checked it, no power. Every other panel, and sure enough, it fixed all of a sudden. So, yeah, but that's fun stuff. All right, so here's our attack tree for stealing your car stereo. They could break the glass. They could steal a key. They steal a key. They could grab the purse. They could make a copy. Okay, how are we going to make a cut? Well, we could bribe an attendant. We could blackmail an attendant. We could threaten an attendant. So there's all kinds of different things that could happen. Okay, all right. Access student grading system. We could defeat the security. We could exploit a software vulnerability. We could steal someone's password. Where are we going to get the password from? It's under the mouse pad. So just an idea of some things that could happen. You're only supposed to do this for each item. That's tough. Okay. All right, the vulnerability appraisal, it says determine current weaknesses. What are our weaknesses? Can people be a weakness? Heck yes, they could be. Do y'all lock your machines when you walk away from them? I'm not talking classroom machines. But like in your office, when you walk away from your machine, do you lock it? Yeah. Every time, exactly. In my students, we have this game. There's always students in my office. We got this game going on. If they ever leave their machines unlocked, oh yeah, it's fair game. But it's the same with me. I've actually left mine unlocked before, and it's not a pretty sight when you come back. And you got all kinds of crap on your desktop. And all right. So, the weaknesses is snapshot of current organization security. What is it today? Does security ever change? Our school does all the time. We go from rent-a-cops to our own police force, and now we're hiring off-duty police officers. It's like every other 5 minutes it's changing, it seems like. Okay. All right. We could catalog each vulnerability. The assessment is determine the damage resulting from the attack. What happens to if someone does steal all the computers? Do we have spare computers? Do you guys have any spare computers on campus? I bet you probably do, where you could come up with some. How about projectors? We were having so many stolen that we literally had to have a pile of extra projectors because they were going every day. So, it's crazy. Okay. All right. Impact. What if it's no impact to it? Why do we care? Why even have it if there's no impact? So, the theft of a mouse attached to a desktop computer would not affect the operations of the organization. So that's true. Why don't we just put notes on it? Please take me. I think it's because they're so cheap. So what? If this mouse gets stolen, there's no one sitting over there to take that one. Kind of like our up area, chairs end up getting rotated through all of our classrooms. A chair gets taken to one room, then they take it for the next room, they take it for the next room, and sooner, kind of crazy. All right. Single loss expectancy. What happens if it happens one time? Okay. Monetary value each time it occurs. So if I have to replace this one projector, what's it going to cost? Okay. But what if it has to, I have to do it multiple times? Okay. All right. And it says the exposure factor. It says percentage of asset value likely to be destroyed. What if we have, a tornado? I mean, heck, Joplin, there's never been anything like that in Joplin, has there been? Is that pretty much the first time there? To that level, that is? Right. Now, Oklahoma City, we have that stuff all the time, even though we're not ready for it, but it does happen all the time. More. It's funny, they keep building a place up bigger and better, but you think the insurance people say, oh, no, we're not spending more money here.
Well, if they put it in the exact spot the other tornado went, it's not likely to hit there again.
Oh, yeah, but lightning can hit like 3 times in the same spot. So, all right. So annual loss. So over an entire year, how many projectors we expect to get stolen? Okay. Multiply it by the rate of it. Okay. Then it says estimate the probability that vulnerabilities will actually occur. So what are the odds we get a virus? What are the odds you get a virus on this campus? Pretty good. Because I don't care what you do, somebody's going to get a darn virus somehow. Okay. Mitigation, this is determine what to do about them and how much can we live with. Again, we talked in the last class, we have students here. Is that a risk? Heck yes, nowadays everybody wants to sue everybody, but it's one of those risks we have to live with because without students we wouldn't have a job. Okay? All right. But what can we do with it? We can diminish it. So we have, I noticed some of your doors here are quite wide, which is nice. And are all your rooms have big wide rows like this?
Up the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to make sure it's all, you know.
Yeah, it seems,
accessible
I mean,
for-
it's nice. It's very, very wide.
Yeah.
Not all of ours have that.
Yeah.
So,
Wheelchairs.
yeah. We had a faculty member who's now retired, was walking into my office a few years ago, and we have a chair sitting on either side of the door. You know, because we had two desks. We had a chair by one desk, a chair by the other desk, so students could sit and talk to you. Well, the faculty member tripped on the chair and fell. When she fell, she popped her arm out and busted her shoulder and her elbow, and she was out for a long time. And they basically came in and said, wow, we need to do something about them chairs. Well, you know, they're still there today, just in case you wonder, they haven't done much to them. But it's tough. So, you know, risk can be anything. We could also transfer them. We could outsource certain things. Okay? A lot of this cloud computing, actually there was an article today, who got broken into? They were talking about security in the cloud. There's an article on Google News today about security in the cloud. Someone, was it VMware? Somebody got broken into. But outsourcing or insurance, or I'm just going to accept it. It says, you know, like I mentioned Rose State, our cars have no insurance. We're self-insured. There's a little letter inside the car, each car that says Rose State self-insured. You know, it's any cost school will cover. Because it's actually cheaper than doing it because there's so much involved. I mean, I don't know what it would cost to insure a car when anybody can drive it. Can you imagine that? That's got to be expensive. So they basically said they're self-insured.
My
Okay.
daughter got hit by this guy that was from community college in Nebraska, and he was actually in charge of a body shop for
Okay.
community college.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he totaled her car, but his was drivable. And so when he went back to Nebraska, he
All right. So yeah, acceptance is another way of managing risk. Okay. All right. So we talked about these already. You know, pretty much all of them. All right. Assessment techniques. We could do baselining. Okay. It's a standard for solid security. What do other people do? What's the current threat level out there? Obviously, if one school has a system set up, you should be able to baseline off them. Okay. All right. And it says note, evaluate, and possibly address differences. It makes sense. Does anyone ever create anything by themselves anymore?
Sandia National Labs.
Indian National Labs does, okay. But normally, say you wanted to create a will. Okay? I need to create a will. Okay? Do you think I'm going to go out there and create one by myself? No, I'm going to find somebody else who's going to go to a lawyer that already has a pre-made one, then modify it to base what I need. Your security programs can work the same way. Okay? All right. Application development techniques is minimize the vulnerability during software development. That's tough. That's where that whole CMM level rating comes in. How do they do it? How is it managed? It's just a tough deal. It's way beyond this. But the size and complexity is a big issue. Okay? Lack of security specifications. How about requirements? They don't mention that there. Did anyone ever do something based on requirements and requirements suck? Yeah, it happens a lot. People are like, I don't know, just do it. But then you do it and they're like, well, that's not what I wanted. Well, you didn't tell me what you wanted, so it's tough. You know, I teach Java programming, and I tell my students exactly what I want. But so many times I get students say, "But I don't. Why do you want that? Why can't I just do it a different way?" Well, the point was I wanted you to learn something. So, all right. It says review, architectural design in requirements phase. Again, requirements is where a lot happens. Conduct reviews, code reviews during and after. Okay. Then correct bugs that are found. I just read the new iPhone version 6 software is on beta 3 just came out. So when do you think it's going to be released? I don't know. Probably this fall sometime. But that's basically what they're doing. They design it, they fix it, then they get bugs, they send out the betas, then they go fix the bugs. So happens with pretty much everything, at least you would hope they would. Windows 8 wasn't out on beta for about a year lately or something? Now it's going final? 6 months? So that's what happens. You correct the bugs in the verification phase. Now, does that mean they're going to get rid of all the bugs before they release it?
Oh, no.
No. Oh, no. Do you think it's possible to write code without bugs?
Not anymore.
No, I say it is impossible. I don't care if you're writing Hello World. It's impossible to write it without errors because you don't know who's going to run it, what they're going to run it with, on what platform, on whatever. Just as soon as, oh yeah, I can do it. No, you can't. Can you write something you can guarantee will run on everything? You can't. So you never know. Okay. I used to beta test for executive software. Executive software writes the defragmentation software for Windows. They used to be called Disk Keepers. They write the one built in, plus they write their own software. But I was a beta tester for them. And they would send it to me all the time, and I'd go out and fix it. Well, I come up with an error one day, and it says, your system's corrupt, restore for backup. I'm like, whoa, that's a pretty big error. So I contacted them and said, whoa, I got an error, system's corrupt, restore for backup. And man, it was so funny, because they wanted to fix these errors. They were trying to get this release out. But they were calling me all the time. They FedExed overnight cookies to me. It's like, what? I literally was getting stuff in the mail from them because they wanted me to help fix the error. It was a big issue, and they're like, ooh, what's going on? Well, it turns out it was an issue with my antivirus software, McAfee version something, and their software was incompatible. So they fixed it. Guess how they fixed it? In the release notes, it says, when installing this software along with McAfee version whatever, you will receive this error. Ignore it. What kind of fix is that? I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But I still get requests from them wanting me to beta test, but it's tough. I mean, it takes a lot of time because there's always new editions out. And, all right. All right, but the software development process is a whole nother animal. Okay. All right. Assessment says IP address uniquely identify each network device. Is that always true? No. Not in this place. No. Basically, they change. They can change, and not necessarily. But TCP/IP, we know how that works, so we're not going to go into that in great gory detail. Port numbers, you all know what the port numbers are? For a Security Plus exam, guess what? You need to know a bunch of them. You know a whole pile of them. What's web? HTTP. SMTP. For mail. 25. POP3. 10. Telnet. 23. SSH. 22. FTP. 21. FTP data. 20. DNS.
53. UDP and TCP.
UDP and TCP. That's good. 50. How about HTTPS? 443. When I was setting up that wireless at Buffalo Wild Wings I told you about, I want to make it so people can surf the web and check email. What do I allow through? That's all I want them to do, surf the web and check email. So I allow 80, okay? Let's write this down, 80.
443.
80, 443.
90, no, 990.
No, I didn't want to do IMAP. I don't want them to be able to download anything.
Okay.
I wanted to check email on the web. So 80443, is that it?
Yep.
Same thing I thought. Didn't work at all. Nothing worked. They couldn't check email. They couldn't surf the web. Couldn't do nothing.
Well, you need DNS.
DNS. You need 53 as well. We don't think of that. Like, oh, surfing the web's 80. And no, it ain't. It is as long as you memorize the IP addresses. But yeah, I was like, what the heck is going on? Then I finally remembered. So I basically blocked 1 to 79, 1 to 52, 54 to 79, 81 to 442, and 444 and above. I blocked everything else. But it's tough. You don't think about that. But for the network security exam, you need to know that. Okay. How about SMTP, SNMP? Isn't it 6 something?
Yeah, I was thinking like 60.
62 maybe? I don't remember exactly, but something close to 62. How about IMAP?
990.
But is it always that? Sometimes it's different. Google changes theirs and other ones. Okay. But you need to know the ports. Okay. So we talked about some of the well-known, well, actually might be on there. There's also some registered ports. There's also some dynamic ports. Here's some. FTP, SSH, Telnet, TFTP. We didn't get that one. 69. HTTP, NetBIOS. Actually, NetBIOS name resolution is 135, 137, and 139.
Do you
Depending.
need that anymore?
Yeah, you still need it on domains. Yeah, you should do. All right, HTTPS, FTPS. Okay, but those are just some of the common ones. just have a general idea of what they are. See, when you take certification exams for this, if you knew those ports, you'd be fine. Because what they'll ask you a question with some really off-the-wall number. You're like, what? So as long as you know certain things, you can really pick out when something's just not normal. So, all right. So, it says the knowledge of what port is being used is always important. Does anyone know how to tell what type of connections are on my machine right now? Netstat-A. That's every single connection on my machine right now, whether it's listening, closed, or whatever. Okay, look at all that stuff. I got a couple established connections with whatever this thing is. Who knows? A couple down there. A lot of HTTPS established. Oh, I know what those are. Anyone know what those are? Those HTTPSs? That's probably my Dropbox and my Google Drive synchronizing my files. I bet it is. Yeah. Got some that are listening. There's the 135. There's 445. 445 is part of a domain as well. I don't know what all these other upper ports are, but there's a whole pile of them. Okay. All right. That's an easy way to tell what's going on in your system. There's a lot of port scanner software. I showed you, what did I show you? Wireshark a little bit earlier. And there's a cool website. If you go to www.grc.com, grc.com, I recommend doing this at your house, by the way. It's kind of cool. Go here and click on Shields Up. Then scroll down and find Shields Up again. Come on. All right. Come on, Shields Up. Just thinking about it. All right, and then I'm going to proceed. Oh, it already knew my machine name. That's not necessarily a good sign. Now I'm just going to do the common ports. It shouldn't have known my machine name. What it's doing is it's checking common ports. I should did good. Oh, at 135. That's why it knew my machine name. 445 and 135. Not necessarily a good thing to have wide open on the internet. Because it showed you my machine name, which it shouldn't have been able to find. But other than that, we're pretty good. Okay? So if I was used somehow on your external firewall somewhere, I'd start blocking those two. Say there it is, Microsoft Directory Services right there. So they're able to get in. And what's cool about this website, it even tells you how to fix it. It says, do it now or do it soon. Okay, do it soon too. Okay, RPC, remote procedure call. There's actually, I don't know what version, but there was a major exploit using RPC.
Yeah, there was.
Yes, a real big one.
Yeah.
So that's grc.com. I had a student, years ago, I told him about this website. He's like, I don't have anything open. Well, you bring up this website. If you turn your firewall off, like if you could go to your house, connect straight into your cable modem and turn off your firewall and run this, the amount of stuff it'll show you. It'll come up and say like, hello, Ken. That guy came up and says, hello, Chad. You're running Windows version whatever. You're currently editing a document using this, and the document's called this. It was like, oh, my God. It knew everything about him. So GRC for GibsonResearchCorporation.com. This guy writes stuff in assembly language. Who writes in assembly language? Yeah. This guy writes some serious equipment in it. It's pretty cool. So grc.com, then Shields Up. Kind of nice. Okay. With these tools, you can find out if ports are open. Ports are open is like that door back there. That door is open right now. Okay. They could be closed. Okay. We know there's a door, but the door is closed. Could also be blocked, but another one they're not listing here is one called stealth. Like on the other page you saw stealth. What stealth means is I couldn't even tell if you had a door. So what's better, open, closed, or stealth? Stealth, definitely. But can you always have, if I'm running a web server, can I have, doesn't port 80 have to be open? Yeah, I'm going to accept connections on port 80. So some people think, port 80 is vulnerability. Well, it's not always. What if that's my business? What if I'm a web server? So grc.com, kind of a cool website to look at there. All right, Remote Administrator has the Advanced IP Scanner. It's Phoronix is the name of the company. It does a decent job looking at that. Actually, this one's pretty quick. Let me go download this one real quick.
I just started to scan on the
Oh, go to shields up,
right?
then proceed, and then common ports.
Let's see. Oh, the first shield's up, I'm not seeing a second one.
Okay, hold on. Let me come look. All right, I'm at Pharonics. That's not the one. Trying to find the advanced IP scanner. There. Oh, it's ouradmin.com now. I'm gonna see if I can download this real quick.
Yeah, it was,
Okay, install this baby. Next. I agree. Next. And next. And install. Should go pretty quick. I use other softwares there. It's pretty cool. Yeah, radmin.com. I use ouradmin for a lot of stuff, and it's pretty handy. All right, I'm going to scan this network. I just picked the default. Oh, found somebody already. Found a bunch of machines. Okay. Oh, great. It crashed.
What was the name of that website?
Radmin.com. If you just search for advanced IP scanner.
You know the Nmap guys that built a Windows version of Nmap?
Yeah, I've seen it.
And it also gives you the unit, the command line when you know, from a graphic interface.
Yeah.
The command line is too.
All right, well, you don't need to install this. I was just playing with the show what it looks like.
there's
There.
an app for your phone too.
Nice. All right, there we go. So we can see some of the machines. I should be able to click on them. There it is. I can see what's on them. Actually, let me just scan just in here. It'll be quicker. 165.173.14.117. I'm going after one machine. Maybe. Aha, found it. All right, come on. There's no open ports? Fine. Let's go to, here, let's do this. Okay, I'm going to scan that. That's my house. No, not sure if it'll find them because of the ports. Well, some of the ports are normal. See if it finds anything. Doesn't mean anyone in the world can try to break into me now. Dude, I might not know. That's my dynamic DNS name. I just got it because it's easy to remember and short. There's a million of them they have up there. If you go to dynamicdns.org, dydns.org, there's tons of them.
Yeah, we blocked Dynamic.
Yeah. Well, actually, this isn't going to be able to scan it. But just play with this tool. It's kind of cool. You'll like it. It's can show you all kinds of stuff. What else? So I don't know any other IPs. Well, let me find one. We got to find one. All right, I need that address. Let's mark it. This should be my school's website, hopefully. Shouldn't take that long to find. Unless it only does internal, which could be the case. I'm not 100% sure on that. Well, fine. It's not liking it. I'll just do this then. So it was able to find something here, wasn't it? Yeah. And this one's running IIS 7. It's got a printer. That one's got FTP going on it. Nice. Up there's the welcome network. I can't click on it twice. Oh, wow. Here's Ken's folder. Oh, that's my machine. Handy. Oh, there's our printer. Uh-oh. So it is kind of cool. It does a decent job finding stuff. This one, I wonder what that is. It's probably your web server or something, but oh well. But nice little tool. All right, that's Advanced IP Scanner. It's newer than the one on there, but you can see kind of what it looks like. Okay. Oh, there's that web server. So whatever it is, that is definitely a web server. Because it came up. I just don't know exactly what it is. All right. A couple of different types of scans. We have a Connect scan. We have a SYN scan, FIN scan. They're just different ones, do different things. Like the SYN scan basically just sends a SYN out. The FIN, it says, sends a FIN message without sending a SYN. Okay? It says the closed port will reply, but an open port will ignore it. So it's kind of cool. And there's the Christmas tree scan. There's just a bunch of them out there.
Did you start your recording again?
I think I did. I think I started it. Yes, I did. I started. Good. All right.
I didn't see that side.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Okay. All right. So assessment tools. We got protocol analyzer. That's what we were looking at with Wireshark earlier. We can look at the traffic. We can look at the ports. We can look at all kinds of stuff. Also known as sniffers. A lot of them are free. Wireshark used to be called Ethereal or Ethereal. Now it's Wireshark. Works good. Used by network administrators for troubleshooting. I've used them a lot, and there's a lot of cool features in them. I had a client who called me one day, said our network is very slow. What's going on? So what I did is I set up a laptop with Wireshark on it. I told it to record 100 megs of traffic at different times throughout the day. So I recorded it multiple times throughout the day, and I took it and I analyzed it and found out a bunch of people were streaming music. So I found out which machines they were, who was doing it, and reported it to the owner. It was the owner's 3 sons. He's like, oh, I will take care of it. Then I never heard another word about it. So, all right. It can also be used for troubleshooting. How about security analysis? We can look for different packets that aren't supposed to be out there. A lot of stuff we can do with them. Okay. And here's Ether Detect. Again, I was showing you Wireshark. I think it's a little bit better, but they're all pretty decent. Okay. Attackers can use them to determine what your network looks like, look at the insides of the packets. You can actually capture the packets and replay them again. So a lot of stuff you can do with them. Okay. All right. There's a bunch of different tools. We're not going to go through all of these, but there's a lot of good scanners. There's one I don't think they talk about in the chapter, one called LandGuard from GFI.com. What LandGuard is, if you give it the admin password, like say your domain admin password, you can scan the network, find all the vulnerabilities on all machines, then tell it to patch them all. So you can right-click and say, apply this patch, apply this patch, apply this patch. So it's really nice. It's called GFI LandGuard. I think you can download a demo which will do like 10 IPs. I used to buy it. When I ran my company, I would buy that tool. I loved it. Especially on domain, you can install it. It'll search all the machines for all the patches missing. Then you right-click, install patch, and it was pretty awesome. But a lot of different tools out there that does that. Okay, you can alert when new systems are found. You can detect internal systems. University of Tulsa has a really cool system. It begins with Z something. I can't remember the name. What their system does is when you go to University of Tulsa and you plug into their network, first thing it does is it checks your machine for antivirus and updates. If you have all that, good. You're good to go and you can continue on the network. If you don't have it, it notifies you don't have this, and it gives you can go to get updates and you can go to get antivirus from them for free, by the way. So that's all you can do. You can't do anything else. Then at the end of the hour, they reassess your machine. If you have the same problems, it gives you the same thing. You get another hour to get updates and get a virus scanner. At the end of that hour, if you haven't fixed it, it disables your port, puts in a help desk request automatically, then they come to your place to fix it for you. Kind of a cool system.
Yeah, that's a NAS solution. They were looking at that in my work.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's probably very expensive.
It is.
Yeah. But it solves a lot of issues on the network.
We were looking at it mostly for like external people coming from outside the organization and connecting to the network.
To make sure they're all...
And remote people and stuff like that is checking to make sure that... Because it's likely the computers that sit there all the time are fine.
Yeah.
The ones that come from somewhere else.
Right. But it was kind of a cool tool. I liked it. All right. You can also track when computers are talking to each other. You can do all kinds of stuff with them. So there's really no standard for doing this. It depends on the tool you're using. Okay. Here's another one. Okay, we're not going to go through all these tools. Okay. Honeypot is normally a machine set up to look vulnerable. It says a computer protected with minimal security. Okay. Intentionally configured that way. So when you try to break into it, you think you're actually getting into a real machine. But sometimes now people think that, wow, that's too vulnerable. So it's got to be fake. All right. So the goal is to track attackers to get into to basically get in, and you can track and see what they're doing. You can learn how they're doing it. Then you can fix the other machines on your network. Okay. You can actually download VMwares that are honeypots. So you can actually run a VMware honeypot machine. We should do that one of these days. Okay. All right. Vulnerability scanner says automated software search the system for known weaknesses, kind of like I talked about LandGuard can do. Create reports. Should be conducted on existing systems as new technology is deployed. One thing about these vulnerability scanners that I find is kind of weird, don't scan printers. If you're doing a scan, turn the printers off, because they'll send so many requests to the printer will literally be printing page after page of junk. And that Marine guy, I've done a couple at his place, and he sells certificates on this really super fancy paper. And if you keep hitting the printer, guess what happens? You print gibberish on these really fancy certificate paper. So always, you got to go turn the printers off, because it'll happen to all of them. If you ran one in here, that printer will be going off. Okay. All right. So it's usually performed from inside, because we're looking for vulnerabilities. Okay. You can do it from outside.
We usually say Los Alamos is our honeypot in our organization. Los Alamos National Labs.
Yeah.
They're known as our honeypot.
Nice. Nice. All right. Penetration testing. Now we're trying to exploit the weaknesses. It says it relies on skill and knowledge. So we want to find a vulnerability and exploit it. So it's one thing to tell you you have an issue. When I can exploit it and get in and show you proof, oh yeah, that's a whole nother story. Okay. End result is a penetration test result. I was able to get in. Okay, go watch the movie Sneakers. You'll see that's pretty much, it's kind of cool. All right. Black box says tester has no knowledge of what's going on. No knowledge of the network. White box, I have in-depth knowledge. Or gray box, I know some of it. Okay? So black box would be like you're an actual hacker on the outside. You got to find out everything. Okay? White box, I know pretty much everything there is to know about it. So actually, white box, if I'm trying to find vulnerabilities, that would probably be the best one, because then I know exactly what is there. I can try to exploit it and everything. So, all right. Let's talk about some of the different features here. We're not going to go through those. Okay. Mitigating attacks, okay? It says create a security posture. Security should be number one. I don't know, maybe it's up here. Someone told me that some state, when they do funding for IT, or funding, budget funding, IT is number one on the list. All IT is funded, and then the budget is divided up against everybody. Is that here? No. No, okay. Some place I taught, maybe it's Colorado. Maybe it's,
I think it might have been Colorado.
It's not
It was somebody in our ranks at a
It's
class.
not
Okay.
Kansas either.
because they were saying how they basically buy the IT stuff first and then do everything. I mean, that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, but all right. So create a security posture, configure controls, hardening, then reporting, and then obviously fixing is what's needed. Okay, security postures. First of all, do you even have one? Do you have a baseline configuration? Do you have checklists? Do you have policies in place? A lot of places don't. Okay, it's what to start with. Okay. This is continuous monitoring. When we first got wireless at Rose State, it was wide open. Actually, it still is to this day. I asked them when we got that, I'm like, so are we monitoring this wireless network? Oh, yes. So how often? All the time. Okay, have you ever noticed when you monitor stuff, like when you first get it, wow, you're looking at it all the time. Then you're looking at it every so often. Then sooner or later you're looking at it once a month. Or then, well, I looked at it in 2010, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. To this day, are they looking at as much as they were? I don't know.
Do they know what they're looking
Yeah, exactly. Do they know?
for?
So,
And what are they looking for?
Yeah, that's
but I do know that our new guy there, because we have a access point up in my lab we use for projects. He came to my building and said, all right, is there an access point around here somewhere? Because it was reporting they found one. Pretty quickly after we turned it on. I'd say within a couple of days, actually. And, it was one of ours. He goes, okay, he's fine with that because it's not connected to the Rose State network. We use it for testing purposes only. But, yeah, so he's doing a decent job. But, all right. So it's a starting point. We've got to do this, obviously, continuously. Remediation. This is a vulnerability that exposed. Put plan in place to address them. Okay, we found the problem. Now let's fix it. They found the problem with the fire alarm yesterday in the hotel. Yeah, you missed it. The fire alarm went off for what, an hour or two yesterday? It was
For
fun.
an hour or two?
Yeah, for an hour or two.
I think it was 2 hours.
Yeah, it was very long. She finally left and went to the mall.
And I almost bought something, but luckily.
But-
Was there really a fire?
No, it was the sensor up on the second floor. The water got into it and it was shorting it out. But she said it's gone off for 3 days now in her room.
Yeah, I mean, in my room, the first time I checked into, because it was too cold, I turned up the heat.
Too cold.
And
That's
it-
impossible.
It was 65 anyway. So the fire alarm went off, and I could smell the smoke. And then they put me in another room. The next.
All right, so let's continue on. All right, so we got to fix our problems. All right, configuration controls. Is properly configured controls is the key. So if I go out and buy this brand new $80,000 firewall, are we set? Probably not. Someone needs to configure it and install it.
Right.
Just by buying this, so many people do that. They're like, oh, I got a firewall. What's your password? Oh, I said the default. Or they don't configure it. Or like I told you at the gyms, there was no settings on them. They had firewalls. They were just kind of not being used. Okay. How about security cameras? Anyone ever look at those? Yeah. Now, I told you they stole the television from our building at Rose State. The cameras happened to be off that day. And we actually had 10 laptops stolen. CSEC, when we first started CSEC back in 2004, they built me a mobile lab for Rose State that other people could use, but no one really borrowed it, but we had it at Rose State that we used. Well, it was kind of weird because these were all brand new Dell laptops. They were really nice ones. And the problem was I would let students use them for projects. They could check them out and use them for projects. But what happened was, say like Brian comes to me, Brian's CD-ROM is broken on his laptop. So he's got to borrow mine. So he borrows my laptop. But the weird thing is when he returns it, his CD-ROM is working now. Yeah, mine's broken. It happened. I mean, it got down to the point where at the end, I had like 2 chargers that worked, no CD-ROMs that worked, but all the students, man, they were happy. All their stuff is working now. It was kind of weird. Don't know why that happened. But over Christmas holiday a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, someone had got into a locked room, got into the locked cabinet, and stole all the laptops. Yeah. And we had cameras. The cameras were on. So I got old security. Security comes out. Oh my God, we need to look into this. Now since then we've got a whole new security system that's a lot better. But so I got a hold of security. They're going to look into this. They're going to figure it out because we didn't have access to view the cameras. They had to. Okay. So security's looking into this. So a couple weeks later, so our cameras record for 14 days. Then they overwrite. So I said, I told them right away. So a few days later, I'm like, okay, did we look at the cameras yet? I haven't got around to it yet. So a couple of days later, did you look at the cameras yet? No, we haven't got around to it yet, but we are checking the pawn shops. So I'm like, you're not checking the cameras, yet you're checking the pawn shops. Anyone see a problem with this? So sooner or later, they never did check the cameras and they ended up overwriting it. We never did find them. So it was weird. It was, what the heck, Am I recording? Okay. All right. So security cameras can be helpful, but people need to look at them. Properly positioned guards is another thing. Where do you put the guards or the cameras or the whatevers? Okay. Information security says we can detect attacks and sound alarms, prevent attacks. I had a thermostat in my server room when I ran my ISP that was basically a temperature probe that would notify me whenever it got too hot. So one Sunday I was out there working in the yard mowing the lawn, and all of a sudden my phone goes off. Because I get emails, pages, and a phone call. It was kind of important if it gets too hot in there. So I'm like, what the heck? Well, what I had done was I'd plugged in the air compressor on the same circuit as the air conditioner. So I had to put air in the tire, and it it popped the circuit breaker, so the air conditioner went off. So my phone, luckily it called me, so I went in there and turned it on, and I reset it, and it was fine. But yeah, those kind of things are nice to have. Okay. All right. Other things to think about, what's the highest priority? So is this classroom the highest priority for security on this campus? Probably not. It's probably on the lower end. I don't know. This is right next to the president's office. Isn't the president's office right next door?
Yeah, it is. The deans are across the hall.
So we are kind of close. So it's probably better than some places, but not too much better. Okay. Fail open locks. Let's talk about locks for a second. So if I'm working at Walmart and they have a power outage, do I want the doors to fail open or fail closed?
Fail open.
Fail open, because I need to be able to get out. Yet if I'm working at a bank and the safe Fail open or fail closed? Probably fail closed. You want it to be secured. So it really varies on where it's being used. Die Hard 1, Nakatomi Plaza, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of important. See, we can relate everything back to Die Hard in this. All right. Okay. Yeah, automatic locks, kind of important. You know. All right. Firewall can be configured in fail open or fail safe mode. Okay. So in a firewall, what do you think? Fail safe? Yeah, pretty much. Yep. All right. Hardening. It says eliminate as many risks as possible. Maybe apply updates. Protecting accounts with passwords. Disable unnecessary accounts and services. Okay. Protect interfaces and applications. All kinds of stuff you can do, and then report what's going on. Okay. Tell people the moment you hear about it. Okay. It says alert of too many failed password attempts. Okay. But also, sometimes alerting too much can be an issue as well, like fire alarms going off in a hotel room. We were at the point yesterday where we didn't care anymore. It could have gone off and it would have been a real fire. Would have all been dead.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
That's true.
all right.
The security guy wanted, we had to try Geo.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Uh-huh.
Tracks all kinds of stuff. Well, he wanted to track every failed login attempt because he thought it was a vulnerability. So every single day between 8 and 8:30, I'd probably get 100 emails.
Wow.
Failed login attempt, failed login attempt. And he wanted us to investigate them. When we finally talked him out, I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's-
It's 8 o'clock in the morning, people are half awake anyway.
Yeah. I can say they failed 3 times. But, yeah, wow. That's...
Every single one, so yeah, it
Wow.
lasted about 3 weeks. So
Nice. Okay.
I barked loud enough, I guess.
Okay. Or maybe here it says, how about multiple accounts experiencing multiple password attempts? That would be a good thing possibly to look at. But individual? No, probably not. All right, that's the end of chapter 4. All right. It's 4 o'clock. How about we call it quits? And in the morning, we're going to do a project first thing.